Little sun out there right now, going to 43 today, 50 tomorrow, and then back to Indian winter on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday when temperatures go back into the 30s, and we're looking at a little snow. Little snow, believe it or not. Peter Franklin is a Gabby Cabby. He's on in New York City. Good morning, Peter Franklin.
Good morning, live from the beautiful, somewhat warmer streets of New York.
So get ready because, well, it's already started in New York. The big push for the primaries, both Republican and Democrat, Bernie Sanders, Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump, Ted Cruz, and that other guy. Going to be huge.
Yeah, it is, and really is. And of course, for those of us who live in New York City, normally this is something which is of no interest to us at all because of the fact that it's a Democratic thing. And, who cares? Whoever is nominated is going to win, and that's the end of it.
Yeah.
This year, we got a little competition going, a little fighting going. So it's going to be juicy times. It certainly will. And Wisconsin, of course, set the stage for all of that last night.
So baseball is back in New York. Well, kind of.
Yeah, well, the weather kind of, who can sit in a Yankee Stadium or a Mets Stadium and freeze your gotchkas off,
Yeah, it is. I mean, and snow is the issue. I mean, they'd have played if it was just cold, but it was the snow.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's not right. There ought to be a law. Come to think of it, there probably is. Governor Cuomo will probably announce today that if the temperature drops below such and such, you are not allowed to play baseball.
Let's see here. How about the story on the arrest of a postal worker?
Do you remember as a kid somebody saying to you that if an ambulance, a police car, and a postal truck got to an intersection, who would have the right of way? And the answer always would be postal truck.
Yeah.
Because it has the priority of the federal government.
Yeah.
Well, these cops must have been sleeping at the switch because, first of all, they were out of uniform. Second of all, they shot past the postal truck, and he had the nerve to yell at them that they were driving crazy. He didn't know they were cops.
Yeah.
They made a Huey come back and start screaming at him that they're cops and can do anything they want. And then they arrested him. They took him away and left the postal truck open, with the door up and all of that, and they took him off to the station house.
Yeah, this story, unbelievable on so many different levels.
I've never seen a faster suspension of cops in my life.
I know, that's unbelievable. Yeah.
Boom. I mean, usually these things take like 2 days.
Yeah.
And, it was just absolutely the arrogant, and this is a special squad, so they've lost that. Now, of course, what will happen is the PVA will come up, the Patrolmen's Union will come up with a thing now saying that they were certainly right to do what they did, which is a bunch of baloney. These guys ought to be thrown off the force, and that's it. Anyway, the guy he got his postal truck back. He's the hero of all the postal carriers. I mean, you just ask anybody in your neck of the woods who works for the Postal Department what they think about it. Unbelievable.
Well, I mean, it is. It brings me back to this moment where when did being impolite or yelling become against the law?
Yeah, well, it's the arrogance. Anytime one of these things happen, I always blame it on the police academy.
Yeah.
Not the movie joking one, but the real one in New York City. The faculty of the police academy in New York City just never seems to churn out graduates who understand what their responsibilities are and how far they can go and this, that, and the other thing. And these kids all go into the police academy nice, sweet, want to do public service.
Yeah.
And after a while, they turn out mean and miserable.
Hey, speaking of the police, tell me I'm wrong here, but I'm told that New York Police Department actually has undercover taxi cabs. So policemen posing as taxi drivers in taxi cabs.
Yeah, that's gone on for years. I mean, the media has all of a sudden discovered it, and the theory being is that the bad guy might think, hey, wait a minute, this guy is maybe a cop. I better not stick a gun to the back of his head. There was a period of time a number of years ago that if a guy got into the cab and put the gun to the cab driver's head, the cop would turn around and kill him. And, of course, when word about that got out, that was, not very politically correct. But it seems to me if you stick a gun up to somebody's head, you're really asking for trouble.
Yeah.
So anyway, the cat is out of the bag now, but they use it, and it's very effective. Our garage hasn't given any over to the police department just because we're cheap. But the fact of the matter is, not knowing who the guy is a good deterrent. I remember when I first started driving cabs, we would get maybe 13, 14 cab drivers killed each year.
Wow.
Now it's really just nothing.
Yeah.
Not to the ones who get it, but
you know, Uber, and I know you haven't been a big, necessarily the biggest fan of Uber, but I believe there's a new service, an Uber service, kind of an Uber service, but it is, instead of taxis, it's parking.
Yeah, well, it's an app. So in other words, you with your driveway of your house, let's say you're near some kind of venue where there might be a rock concert or maybe tennis courts or something like that, you'll be able to list your driveway as a place where people can park.
This started
for the duration of the game or whatever's going on. I think it's a very clever idea.
Well,
to make some extra change.
Peter,
I'm not anti-Uber, though, but I always felt that nobody mistreats cab drivers more than the taxi and limousine commission in New York City in terms of working conditions, disability, compensation, all that. Well, Uber has come along, and my beef with them is they're just as miserable to their workers.
Peter, this idea of the parking is yet another brilliant idea that has come from upstate New York. This is our thing, and you guys are just now getting it. This started with baseball in Cooperstown. It's been going on for years. These families, when the Baseball Hall of Fame weekend goes on, these families sell their parking spots, their lawns, their backyards, their sidewalks, $40, $50 a parking spot. It's unbelievable.
Most of those things that you just mentioned, I've never heard of. What is a driveway?
Yeah, that's a good point. Okay, you got me. How about one more? How about you have a joke packed away there? Every once in a while you like to do a joke.
Yeah, can we do one that's a little risque?
Oh, boy.
Using the word, well, it's not so terrible. Guy goes to the doctor because he wants to have some Cialis.
Okay, yeah.
I'll keep it clean.
Good, yeah.
So the doctor gives him some Cialis, and the doctor says, go home and use it and enjoy it. And a half hour later, he calls the doctor. He says, I got home, and my wife is not here. What's going to happen? I mean, have I wasted the Cialis? Doctor says, no. I mean, is your maid home? He says, yeah. He says, well, why don't you use it? He says, well, with the maid, I don't need Cialis. I hope I didn't just get you in trouble.
No, that's a goodie. That's a goodie right there, Peter. It's Gabby.com. Peter Franklin, thank you so much. Best tour in New York City. We'll talk to you again next week.
Right, bye.
All right, Gabby Cabby. Got a break at WIBX.